Scott Eberle, and I am from the National Museum of Play. Just up the street, a little bit east of here, a few steps. It's a very busy and quirky and interesting place. It's my favorite museum, actually. It began with a giant bequest, and the world's largest collection, among other things, of toys and dolls that was displayed, alas, this way. And we can only say, but it's a long way from there to here. We learned a lot along the way, changed the downtown scape of Rochester. Getting there was an interesting learning process. We had all those artifacts, and the question of what to do with them was much on the minds of the people who would put up a museum. They brought in a group of experts who declined to say that a children's museum or a museum about toys and amusements could be put up because it didn't have enough gravity. They told us, in effect, that real museum guys didn't play with dolls. And so our learning curve over the next 20 years took us on a wonderfully stimulating journey as an exhibit developer, I can tell you. You know, to take on issues of class and race and the environment and medical history and robots and notions of beauty and all kinds of things was a wonderfully stimulating exercise. But behind was always the question of what concept was big enough to hold all these things and all these ambitions and our programs and our stuff. We hit upon it one day over lunch at a diner up on Lake Ontario and benchmark tripped the United States and board staff study. And 2 years later, our idea, Play, was going to serve as the basis of an expansion of the museum. And for us, it was a $37 million question. What is play? We were all experts at play once, but saying what play is quite another thing. Defining play is quite problematic. Actually, it's fairly easy to settle on the attributes of play. We know that it's purposeless and voluntary, it's fun, it's set apart, it's an end in itself, it's marked by rulemaking, but part of rulemaking is rule breaking. And that's going to serve as the intro to one of three very brief stories. The first one, the Civil War on roller skates. Let me set the scene for you. It's 1973, it's August, and it's Paris. Anyone with any sense is left for the South. Paris is deserted. The old are left, and the teenagers who won't go along or parents can't stand them are left in Paris. And I was there trying to learn French. I wandered up to the Museum of Modern Art that had this wonderful concrete portico at the time and found this amazing thing happening. An old gentilhomme in a gray suit and a tie with a chest full of medals, brought a gramophone, cranked it up, laced on a pair of roller skates, and then conducted the most remarkable performance of swaying and marching to this martial music. And into this, however, bursts an old fellow about the same age, but wearing a beret and a black turtleneck. They clamber down the steps, they twirl around, they hoot and holler, and my memory supplies me with a soundtrack that now I think they probably yelled out "Liberté," but you know, that's just got to be too good to be true. But they piled off and left this poor guy, who was demonstrating the patriots' homage to the glory that was France in a huff. And I couldn't help but laugh, which was disrespectful, but I'll tell you, it was funny. But it gives you the sense that play is very broad. It can contain both order and disorder in this way, and we're left looking for an answer in this field of play. Play isn't just ambiguous and contradictory this way, but play is all over the place. Look at this word cloud, pick out a couple of dozen things that play is and add another 2,000, and you'll still be asking, what is play? We knew that when we had to answer that question, that we couldn't make the mistake that they did in 1973 and equate gravity with profundity. Something doesn't have to be serious. Something doesn't have to be, annoying or bothersome or dangerous. It can also be something else, something quite else. We also knew that you can't define play the way you can say what a car is, that it's got 4 wheels and 2 doors and it goes. It's not a thing. Play is a process that swirls, but it's a lot easier to talk about it in a linear way, to break it down into 6 elements: anticipation, surprise, understanding, strength, and poise was our rubric. And to think of it again, to set it in motion, think about how anticipating play leads to surprise, which gives rise to pleasure, which enlarges understanding, which builds strength. So on to the first element of play, anticipation. When that last piece is about to be put into the puzzle, you feel this sense of anticipation building, right? And look at the smile on that dog there. It's hard not to send out a play signal when you mean to play. In fact, mammals announce that they will play by signals. Even parrots will, some parrots of the higher orders of birds will indicate that they want to play, and chimps will give this goofy smile where they cover their teeth, because teeth are weapons, right? And you don't expose your teeth when you want to play, so never smile at a chimp. Even not that that's useful advice ever, but even rats will play. Rats laugh when they play, but at a range so far above human hearing that we would never have discovered it if it weren't for the ingenuity of one of the most brilliant men in the United States, Professor Jaak Panksepp, who found out that, who knew as an experimental psychologist that not only could rats play, but they could laugh too. And this is the second little story I want to tell you about. Panksepp and his students isolated rats for a time and deprived them of play, and they became edgy and bored and fragile, like all of us do if we're deprived of play. And then he let them back together, and they played with special fervor and enthusiasm. We can't really talk about playlessness like we would sleeplessness or hunger, but it's not a bad idea to think of it this way, because when he reintroduced them, they played like they were ravenous for play. They needed it. It was something basic. Now, to discover that rats can giggle is another question. We can't hear the rats, but they thought of outfitting their studio with a bat detector. They could hear them, and they found out that they chirp in 2 pitches, one low, one high. The high pitch was the one that they chirped at when they were tickled. That was rat laughter. Our last common ancestor with rats was 75 million years ago. So to discover that rats can giggle and laugh is not just to find out something about play, but it's to find out something about our own heritage. Play is very deep. And of course, it's not just rats and us, but it's everybody else in between, even big fierce polar bears and cats and kangaroos and warthogs, and they're all after this anticipation. They seek novelty. You're at a magic performance, and the magician is sawing apart his beautiful assistant. We know she won't be at 2 pieces, but we're still wondering, okay? It's still anticipation. He's playing with us, and we're playing along. We also want to know what's next, and to ensure that question carries play, we're always making up new scenarios. I mean, who's to say that Barbie didn't date G.I. Joe, right? And we, too, show a play face. Ours is different from the chimp. We do show our teeth. But we announce no matter where you're from in this planet, you will show the play face. Surprise, the funny thing about surprise, the next element of play, is that we prepare for the unexpected. That seems like a contradiction. We experience surprise in our very bodies. Or in our minds, and deciphering a joke requires cognitive sophistication, okay? But even a chimp, when they teach them sign languages, can say that seltzer is fuzzy water, so they are cognitively sophisticated too. But it's an offbeat humor that interrupts our expectations and makes us laugh. It's not just thinking, but it's also visual jokes. What holds play together and keeps us playing is pleasure. We come from a country founded by Puritans, and so we should always remember that we need pleasure. It's the thing that keeps us playing. We feel it as exuberance or we feel it as problem solving. Understanding, let's cut that in two ways, both emotionally and intellectually, the fourth element of play. We learn how to play when we play. We learn empathy. Think what's exchanged at a quilting bee besides swaths of cloth, memories, shared experiences, and so on. And contemplate this picture with two players who are playing across a species line. Gravity does not equal profundity. Play trains our skills. Dogs think in the space we're blinking. They can see faster than we can. That's why they're so skilled. Or our own insight is built over a longer time scale by playing. Or we learn to build a team through playing, and it's our social intelligence that gets educated. Or we master both intellectual and physical skills. Look at this girl who has tipped the ball with her left foot and will cross it, and I actually know what happened next. She crossed it right in front of the goal, and it was a wonderful sight. We instruct and we practice and we enhance our multiple intelligences when we play: verbal, linguistic, logical, mathematical, visual, etc. At the museum, of course, we have instituted this as a curriculum in a preschool. Play is our brain's favorite way of learning. Strength. Let's cut this again two ways. Stamina is a kind of strength if you live in an environment that can kill you. And Inuit games, this is the 2-foot leap, demonstrate both strength but endurance of pain. Creativity. This is Einstein with the Bengali poet Tagore, and no less a figure than Mohandas Gandhi got them together to talk about music. Ingenuity. Let me tell you about this. Why does play survive over these 75 million years? Well, there's no obvious answer. Play is costly and it's dangerous, but it makes us more attractive to mates. And can we learn through play? You bet. J.K. Rowling sold 350 million copies because she placed a skinny kid against a fascist army. When the bad guys are vanquished, we're also empowered. This is mathematics as far as I can go. Understanding plus strength equals poise. Not real mathematics. Poise, in the end, instructs our extrasensory perceptions, our balance, our proprioception, where we are in space, our sense of tracking. Play teaches us strategy, which teaches us composure. And here, if you're doing a nollie or an ollie, I can't tell which one it is, you have accomplished something that only Chinese acrobats could do a few years ago. And spontaneity is a result of play, too. These are examples of play. Let me just talk about the last one. You can't think too much when you're playing because mind and body are one. You have to yo-yo. You need to let go. Play leaves us ready for more. Once we have a sense of poise, we are poised to play some more. I stole the title from John Steinbeck, who traveled with his dog. This is my golden doodle, Charlie, and we went to Cleveland with him when he was about 6 months old, puppy, and he met Darby, a big Wheaten Terrier. And it was immediately a scene of sexual domination. I'm not going to put too fine a point on that. And that was the first few hours. But then Charlie realized that he's a poodle. He could stand on his hind legs and reach the ears, those needle teeth that puppies have. Out. And so the chase was on. Darby took off. Charlie, grinding on the linoleum. Up the stairs, over the couch, the humans diving out of the way. The next morning, though, Darby had a brainstorm. He had something that Charlie wanted more than revenge, and that was a ladybug, a rubber ladybug that squeaked so beguilingly when you bit it, and that chewed really nicely, too. And he showed this to Charlie, and then they were off. That was play, and it was the scene of a peaceable kingdom where the lamb lay down with the lion-colored bigger dog. So yes, play is a process that churns, and it churns up mostly positive emotion. This wheel of emotion shows you that the emotions that play churns up are mostly positive. So the answer to what is play entails the other question, the benefits of play. We know that they entail curiosity and spontaneity and relaxation and poise and balance, and so on. So I end at the beginning with the subject of poise, and we're ready to play some more.